If you've become a justice impacted person, then the time is right now to begin sowing seeds for what you want to do in your future. And I don't know what stage in the journey you're in. You may be at a stage where you're just being charged, or you've just been notified that the government may be charging you. You may be at a stage where the government has charged you and you're now contemplating whether you're going to plead guilty or not guilty. You may be at a stage where you're doing the pre-sentence investigation, getting ready for sentencing, getting ready for prison, or you may be on the other side of the journey and you're on your way home and you've got to be thinking today about what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. My name is Michael Santos, and I was in that situation back in 1987 when I was 23 years old. I made some decisions that resulted in me going to prison for 26 years. But what made a huge difference in that journey is at the beginning, I started thinking about preparing for success after prison. And that's something I want you to be thinking about. We've created this really amazing course that I'm super enthusiastic about. I can't wait to share it with people in prison because it's going to show how the decisions that a person makes today really starts with preparing. I'm going to try and read this way: preparing for success after prison. We have got to be thinking about this at the soonest possible time. And if we start sowing seeds today, we could really transform what our journey is going to be like while we're going through the system and when we come home. Today, I'm really enthusiastic because I'm about ready to begin this prison tour where I'll be going to federal prisons across the Midwest and presenting on this concept of preparing for success after prison. It's a rather comprehensive course that we're really working hard to try and get approved as a program that will result in people getting time off of their sentence, just like we do in the state of California, where thousands of people have had their sentences reduced by going through these programs that Prison Professors creates. And we're creating new content all the time. If you're not in the system and you're watching these programs at home or on YouTube or listening on iTunes, you should be using all of the free resources that are available on our website at prisonprofessors.com, because there's so much information that you could use to learn about every stage in the journey. And as a justice impacted person myself, it's very important for me to give as much of this information away to as many people as possible, whether they have financial resources or not, in order to make a difference and to make an impact on the world or to be the change that I want to see in the world. It's really important to give as much information away as possible to anyone who's going into the system. But if you're in the system, I have to do it in a different way. I have to go first of all, persuade administrators to use the Prison Professors content. And that takes a lot of courage for an administrator to bring somebody like me into a prison. I was, somebody who made really bad decisions as a kid. And as a result, I served 26 years in federal prisons in every security level, from high security penitentiaries, medium security prisons, low security prisons, minimum security camps, halfway house, home confinement, supervised release. I went through the entire process, but I can convey to people in prison how relevant their decisions today are going to be on how they emerge. And of course, we write about that in this book, Earning Freedom, Conquering a 45-Year Prison Term. But this is a very extensive book. It's 500 plus pages. We have many books and products that you could see on our website, journals and lessons and things that people can use to improve the outcome of their life. But later this month, or actually next month, November, I start this really extensive prison tour where I will be going inside of prisons, making presentations to the population, coordinating with staff who will be responsible for teaching the Preparing for Success After Prison course. So I'm going to share with you the most recent document that I created to help with fidelity. And that means it's this program right here that's a facility guide. So you can see that facility guide just on the screen here, where I'm describing all of the different ways that staff members should be using this product to make sure that the people who are in say FCI Miami are going through the same program as the people who are in the USP in Thompson, or the satellite camp in Atwater, or the federal prison in Lompoc, or wherever they happen to be. So we've created this course that addresses the needs that the Bureau of Prisons has spoken about being important. And this course works to resolve or to provide resources for people who've gone through the risk assessment, and staff have determined that the person needs to resolve these kinds of challenges: anger and hostility, antisocial peers, cognitions, education, finance and poverty, mental health, trauma, and work. This program really addresses all of those areas in an authentic way, because I'm teaching you, this is what leaders taught me when I started on that journey, and it's how I prepare to build a life of meaning and relevance and dignity, and how anybody can do the same thing if they adhere to this same principled path, which is step one, define success. It doesn't matter what stage in the journey you're in, start by defining success. We describe all of that in our course on the mitigation arc. Understand what I have to do today may be different from what I have to do in a year or in 3 years, depending on how I advance through the journey. The more you understand, the more effective you are going to be at developing a program that you can use to help yourself. So we want to teach this to people, whether they are in a high security penitentiary, like the United States Penitentiary in Florence, the ADX, maybe the SHMU unit at Thompson, or the prison in Terre Haute, these really high security prisons. And then if you're in a USP, you may need a different type of programming than you would need if you're in a minimum security camp. So we create this content that addresses these different needs for people in a specific institution. And then we create the resources that staff members can use to improve the culture of their prison. And that's something that's really important. We've heard about that from Director Peters, who has spoken about the importance of improving the culture. So we have to write these courses at a grade level that is appropriate for people in various prisons. We also create video files and audio files, and then resources that teach people. This is really the step-by-step approach somebody can use to begin building a pathway to success. We have examinations and grading. We've got all kinds of resources that I think are going to be helpful to both the teachers that are using this program or individuals who are inside of an institution and studying through this coursework, even if they're locked in the hole, right? Even if they're locked in the hole and they don't have access to classrooms, we believe that our course, Preparing for Success After Prison, will help them. With the curriculum is really designed so that an individual can work through it in a self-directed manner, regardless of what access that person has to other resources. So if they have access to video and if they have access to audio, great, we've got those tools. If the only thing they have access to is a book, well, we're going to give them that information as well. And we're even going to show them, hey, this is how long it takes to work through these programs. This particular program is designed to be offered in 100 hours. But you'll notice at the end of it, if I get down here to the end of it, we've got this amazing self-assessment tool, which really encourages people to understand how my decisions today are going to influence my prospects for success in the weeks, months, years, and decades ahead. And so we've asked them to work through this grid on responding to these questions. These questions, we want to get their responses before they go through our course, and then we want to measure their outcomes again after they've finished the course. And so we kind of just ask some basic questions, right? Basic questions like this one, question number 1. Which response most closely aligns with how you define success? And people in prison, they can answer this in any number of ways. We've assigned a point valuation to these things. Like when in prison, I don't concern myself with thinking about questions that have nothing to do with my life. I'm only thinking about what I'll have to do to make it through this sentence. That's a typical response in a higher security prison. But typically, that kind of response is not consistent with somebody who wants to truly develop a pathway to prepare for success. And so we also give them another potential response. I define success as being able to function where I am, regardless of other people's decisions. To work towards success, I created a plan. That plan helps me stay on track. I know what I will accomplish in the next 10 days, 10 months, and 10 years. That is more consistent with somebody who's saying, I am making a commitment to make sure that my time in prison is not going to define the rest of my life. Instead, I am going to build a life of meaning and relevance and dignity. And this course, Preparing for Success After Prison, is one of the tools that we create, tools, tactics, and resources to help people achieve their highest potential. But if you're not in prison and you're not going through our courses, then you have an ability to visit our website at prisonprofessors.com. We'll learn from our interviews with subject matter experts that include former chiefs of U.S. probation, former director of the Bureau of Prisons, former wardens, current sitting federal judges who talk about sentencing and what somebody can do. If this information is helpful to you, then we want you to invest as much time as you care to devote to learning. Watch the videos, read the courses, read the blogs, because we're producing new content every single day with one commitment in mind, and that's to help justice-impacted people get the best possible outcome. And if people want to interact, they can sign up for our webinars, which we host every Friday and Saturday. And they're in the morning, and anybody can register just by going to the website and entering their contact information. Boom, they're going to get an email invitation. And I typically reserve an hour for them, but I always stay on as long as I possibly can to respond to questions, because I did 26 years in prison, and I am deeply committed to helping justice-impacted people find their path to get the best possible outcome. I am Michael Santos, and on behalf of our entire team at Prison Professors, I just want you to know that we believe in you. Thanks.